What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today we're going to be looking at a bunch of Toronto Maple Leafs trade and free agency rumors. So if you guys are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. I'd love to have you guys here. I know there's a ton of you guys that are watching right now that aren't subscribed. It would help me quite a bit if you even like the video. If you agree, also comment. It's up to you guys, but there's a lot of good stuff in here today. There's a lot to talk about, man. This is where silly season comes in. There's a lot of trade talk. There's a lot of free agency talk. There's a lot of draft talk. There's so much to discuss, but you guys know where we have to start the biggest story of them all, and that is Mitch Marner, whether or not the Maple Leafs are going to re-sign him or trade him. Now, the Marner watch is a little bit murky waters here, and I'll explain that in a second, because TSN insider Darren Dreger said Monday that he believes general manager Brad Treliving would rather extend Marner than trade the winger. Now, we all know that he has the no move clause, and he's in the final year of that $10.9 million contract, and the Maple Leafs have a really tough decision to make. Do you trade a 99-point winger? Do you trade a guy that obviously is really good offensively, but do you re-sign this guy and risk losing him for nothing by not signing him? Like, do you keep him? Like, what do you do? There's so many question marks. Do you let him walk? Do you trade him? Do you re-sign him? There's a ton of things that the Leafs have to consider, but I will say this, and this is no disrespect. I'm not trying to start anything here, but Darren Dreger is notorious for being a part of the Marner camp. And what I mean by that is every single time that Marner's agent wants something to get out to the media, it's usually Darren Dreger is the one that's saying it, because there's been times where Darren Dreger said, oh, Marner's leaving. He's going to sign in Columbus. Oh, he's going to sign overseas. He's going to go to ask for a trade. Now he's re-signing. Oh, Brad Treliving really wants to keep him. It's all media play, right? So I don't believe Brad Treliving wants to extend Mitch Marner before checking what the market is for this player. I genuinely do believe the Leafs are going to be fielding calls, but I'm also on the camp of look, the Leafs shouldn't just trade him for the sake of trading him for virtually nothing. They need to get a big return back. They need this trade to be worthwhile for them, because this is a franchise-altering move, because the Maple Leafs have made the playoffs every year, and they've been a good regular season team, but they haven't gotten over the hump in the playoffs. By removing a 99-point player, you would think you would get worse. But if the Maple Leafs can make a good trade and use that extra money to go out there and use those additional assets and go out there and acquire defensemen, another goalie, and maybe more suitable forwards for that top six, then it makes sense. But the Maple Leafs have to be careful not to move on from this player and make a big mistake. And we'll get back to that in a little bit, because there's some more interesting news that has to do with Mitch Marner, but not really at the same time. It's complicated, but we'll get back to it. First, Tyler Bertuzzi. So apparently the Maple Leafs and Tyler Bertuzzi have had some productive talks, and there's also something that has to do with Bertuzzi and not so much Bertuzzi that we're going to talk about in a little bit, so stay tuned for that. But Bertuzzi is less than 2 weeks away from hitting the open market. He signed a one-year, $5.5 million deal last season. And there's been some productive talks, but of course he will become a free agent on July 1st. So I'm a part of the group that would love to keep Tyler Bertuzzi, but not if he's getting a raise. I think that if you're going to sign him, it's got to be 3 years, 4 if they have to get there, if they absolutely have to give him that fourth year, and it's got to be around $5 million in my case. I don't know how you can give him more than that. Honestly, I would want the Leafs to give him less than that. I'm in the $4 to $4.5 million range. I think that Bertuzzi was good, and the second half he was really, really good. First half wasn't good. Second half he played really well. So if you get that Bertuzzi, this team is much better. And he played well with Matthews and Domi, and the fit seemed to be pretty good. He's gritty. He's the Berube-style player, but is he going to price himself out of Toronto? He could easily probably get more money in the open market, but if he likes playing in Toronto and he wants to stay here, hopefully these productive talks actually mean something, because The Maple Leafs apparently are still trying to get Domi signed as well, but there's interest from around the league in him as well. So we'll have to see where it goes, and I want to lean on you guys for that as well. Would you re-sign Tyler Bertuzzi, or would you move on from him? You guys have to be the judge of that. Now, here's another move that I'm not too sure that the Maple Leafs could make. They could sign, and potentially this might not be true. I don't know. But apparently the Maple Leafs could be one of the teams in on Jake Guentzel. According to the Daily Faceoff's Frank Saravalli, the Maple Leafs are one of several teams that could make a run at landing the two-way forward. There are more than a handful of teams expected to be in the mix for the Stanley Cup winning winger, Saravalli wrote on Tuesday. If the Maple Leafs trade Mitch Marner, they could be players. And again, this is where I start to get irritated, because Jake Guentzel obviously would be a great fit for the Maple Leafs. Like, this guy's a great hockey player. But I don't think the Leafs are interested in terms of, like, they've actually put their name in the hat, because it says they could be players and if they trade Mitch Marner. The Maple Leafs haven't even asked Marner, apparently, to submit a 10-team no trade, or to submit teams that he'd be willing to take a trade to. And now we're talking about they could be players for a guy that we would have to trade a guy to get to this guy. This just screams clicks when you put the Maple Leafs in there, because, you know, it started going a little bit viral on Twitter as well, as viral as a Leaf rumor could get. But of course, any team would be willing to take Jake Guentzel. The guy is fantastic. He's a great hockey player, but I just don't see the buzz that people are talking about, because it's not something that the Maple Leafs can even do currently, and there's obstacles and there's blocks to even getting there. So I'm going to put that one on the back burner. It's interesting, but it's probably not true. Now, the last little bit of news here is actually a little bit interesting, because before we made a video like a few weeks ago talking about how the Maple Leafs could have interest in multiple Bruins. Now, apparently Linus Ullmark has the Maple Leafs on his no trade list, so he's not going to end up in Toronto, but this guy could, and that's Jake DeBrusk. Now, the Maple Leafs are keeping an eye on Jake DeBrusk. Nick Kiprio said with the Toronto Star that there's word they may have interest in pending Bruins free agent Jake DeBrusk, who's been a Leafs playoff killer over the years. Nick Alberga said, furthermore, I heard over the weekend that there's actually mutual interest between the Leafs and Jake DeBrusk. Now, here's the thing. If you get Jake DeBrusk, they're probably not going back to Tyler Bertuzzi. They might, but you're not getting Domi, Bertuzzi, DeBrusk. So if the Maple Leafs are thinking, oh, we could keep Domi and Bertuzzi, they're probably not going to be in on Jake DeBrusk. And if they are, it's got to be dirt cheap, which it won't. If the Maple Leafs signed Jake DeBrusk early in free agency, that probably means one of Bertuzzi or Domi are not coming back, and it's likely Bertuzzi. DeBrusk is gritty. He's feisty. He's a pest, and he actually can put up points. He can be a really good player. In the playoffs, he's a different animal. But the Maple Leafs can't overpay this player just because he's a Leafs killer and because he played well with the Bruins. He was put around some really talented players. He could do the same thing in Toronto. But I don't want the Maple Leafs to overpay for Jake DeBrusk. And this is where, again, I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Where do you think that number is going to come in for Jake DeBrusk? Leave in the comments down below where you think he could get, like in the range of where you could get money-wise. But I would love Jake DeBrusk, okay? The guy, like I said, he's a pest. He's feisty. I would love to have him on this team. But it seems as though this guy is probably going to have a few bidders, including more than likely the Bruins. Like, I'm sure that they would be willing to bring him back for the right price. But if the Maple Leafs overpay for this player because he's a Berube-style player, I'm not going to like it. If they're doing it because it's a cheaper replacement than Tyler Bertuzzi or Max Domi, then I'm all for it. So we'll have to see. We're getting closer and closer to free agency. Leave your comments down below on free agency and via trade. Is Marner getting traded? Will the Leafs re-sign Tyler Bertuzzi? Could you see them being interested in Jake Guentzel and Jake DeBrusk? Is that a possibility? I mean, I don't know. Let me know down below in the comments if you're new here. Make sure to like this video and subscribe. Join the roster. I'd love to have you guys here. Join the squad. I don't know why I said that, but you guys are awesome. Again, liking and subscribing helps a lot. I know you watching this right now, maybe you only stop in for when I do rumor videos, but I do a ton of those. Okay? I love talking Leafs. I love talking hockey. So help me become a full-time creator. Make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. What are the Leafs going to do? Let me know in the comments. I love you guys, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.